dive. Today we're digging into some really interesting bits from Don Quixote. Dreams versus reality in English.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. We're looking at this iconic character, Don Quixote, who, basically decides he's a knight living in a world that, well, isn't quite the age of chivalry anymore.
Right. And the sources you've pulled together use his story to explore English dialogue, give real-life examples, and even teach vocabulary. It's quite a mix.
Absolutely. And it all kind of circles around this one big question, doesn't it? The source asks, is it better to follow your dreams or face reality? That's really the core we'll keep coming back to.
That's our big question for this deep dive.
Yeah.
So our mission is to unpack that tension, dreams versus reality, as it plays out in these excerpts. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, arguably the most famous scene, the windmills. Don Quixote's big moment.
Oh, definitely. He spots them and cries out something like, Sancho, look, giants, hulking giants with long arms. I must fight them, for the glory of my lady Dulcinea.
Classic Quixote, pure conviction.
Exactly. It shows his whole worldview in a snapshot.
And then you get Sancho Panza, his squire, just bringing it down to earth. Giants, sir. Those look like windmills to me, just windmills. Maybe we should, look again before charging.
Yeah. It's that immediate clash, isn't it? Imagination hitting reality head on.
It sets up the whole dynamic perfectly. And this leads us to our first vocabulary word from the source.
Right. Imagination. Imagination, which the source defines as the ability to create ideas or pictures in your mind.
And the example sentence.
Don Quixote's imagination turns windmills into giants. Simple, clear, perfectly illustrates it.
What's interesting is how the source connects this. It talks about that real-world push and pull. The follow your dreams no matter what message we often hear, versus the need to actually face challenges bravely, even if people will laugh or don't understand what you're doing.
But then, crucially, there's the other side. The source introduces reality. Reality defined as the state of things as they actually exist.
And the example for that one.
Sancho Panza tries to remind Don Quixote of reality. Sancho's role is vital. He's that anchor.
He really is. And the real-life example they give for reality is quite sobering, isn't it? About the dangers of chasing dreams without checking the facts.
Yeah, like putting all your money into some risky business without doing any research. It reminds us that, ignoring reality can have real consequences.
It definitely can. So just pausing here for a moment. What really strikes you about this initial conflict, this collision between Quixote's world and Sancho's?
It's the conviction on both sides, I think. Quixote isn't just mistaken, he believes. And Sancho isn't just cynical. He sees the practical truth.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Another major theme is Don Quixote's sense of duty, his mission for justice.
Yes, he's very clear about it. He says something like, it's my duty as a knight-errant. I have to defend the weak, right the wrongs, even if nobody gets why I'm doing it.
It sounds so noble on the surface.
It does. But then Sancho brings in that dose of reality again. He mentions that time with the servant boy. Remember that?
Ah, yes, where Quixote tries to help, but actually makes things worse for the boy in the end.
Exactly. It shows the complexity. Good intentions aren't always enough.
Which brings us to the next vocabulary word, justice. Justice, meaning fair treatment and doing what is right.
And the example sentence is quite direct. We must fight for justice when we see something unfair. It's that core ideal.
The source links this to standing up to bullies in real life. That takes courage, right? It's a form of seeking justice.
Definitely. But echoing Sancho's experience, the source adds a note of caution. Sometimes jumping in might not be the best way.
Right. It suggests maybe thinking it through or getting help from a teacher or someone else so you don't accidentally make things worse.
Which leads nicely into wisdom. Wisdom. Good judgment and knowledge gained from experience.
Like Sancho often shows.
Precisely. The example is, Sancho often shows wisdom with his practical advice. His grounded experience gives him a different kind of insight.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Can you maybe recall a time when you tried to help, had the best intentions, but it didn't quite work out as planned? What did you learn from that?
That's a good question for reflection. It happens, I think.
Okay, let's look at how they discuss dreams and reality on a more, maybe, philosophical level.
Yeah, Quixote gets quite philosophical sometimes. He talks about life being like a dream, this search for truth and beauty. He really emphasizes believing in a better world.
Very idealistic.
Very. And then, you guessed it, Sancho chimes in.
With something practical, I bet.
You got it. Something like, Master, dreams are fine, but you can't eat dreams. We need food, shelter, the basics.
Ha! always the pragmatist. It really highlights the difference between dreams, those hopes for the future Don Quixote is full of.
The source uses the example. Don Quixote has grand dreams of knighthood.
And being practical. Practical, focused on real situations and actions.
Exactly. And the example sentence fits Sancho perfectly. Sancho is practical and thinks about food and shelter. You need both, arguably.
The source then gives these great real-world examples. It talks about dreamers, people like Walt Disney creating whole worlds, or Greta Thunberg fighting for the planet, Steve Jobs seeing how computers could change everything.
Big visionaries.
But then it balances it. It talks about realists, too. Doctors, scientists solving real problems, engineers building things, teachers helping students grow.
Yeah, it makes a really important point. Heroism isn't just about grand, impossible quests. Everyday people doing necessary work, caring for others, solving small problems, they're heroes too.
That's a lovely thought. It prompts you to think, who are those everyday heroes in your own life? What makes what they do heroic?
Definitely. Now, should we run through some of the other vocabulary the source pulls out? These terms really add layers to understanding the story.
Good idea. Let's do a quick deep dive on those. You start.
Okay. Chivalry. Chivalry, the qualities of a knight. Bravery, honor, helping others. Example, Don Quixote believes in chivalry and always helps the weak.
Next, adventure. Adventure, an exciting or unusual experience. Example, every day with Don Quixote is a new adventure.
Then there's delusion. Delusion, a false belief or opinion. Example, believing the windmills are giants is a delusion. A key one for Quixote.
Very key. And irony. Irony, using words to mean the opposite. Example, it's irony when Don Quixote's brave acts cause trouble instead of help.
Also metaphor. Metaphor, comparing things without like or as. Example, calling life a dream is a metaphor.
And idealistic.
Right.
Idealistic, believing in perfect outcomes, maybe unrealistically. Example, Don Quixote is idealistic and wants to save the world.
Can't forget squire. Squire, a knight's assistant. Example, Sancho Panza is Don Quixote's loyal squire.
And the main man himself, knight. Knight, a soldier in armor serving a king. Example, Don Quixote wants to be a famous knight.
There's also enchantment. Enchantment, a magic spell. Example, Don Quixote thinks the windmills are enchanted, explains the giants.
Exactly. Then bravery, courage. Example, Don Quixote shows bravery by fighting for his beliefs, even if they're misguided.
True. And humility. Humility, being modest, not thinking you're better than others. Example, Sancho sometimes teaches Don Quixote humility, often unintentionally.
Good point. Finally, compassion. Compassion, sympathy and concern for others. Example, both characters show compassion in different ways.
They really do, despite their differences.
So we've covered quite a bit, the windmills, justice, the big ideas, the vocabulary. Let's circle back now to that big question from the start.
Right. Is it better to follow your dreams or face reality?
Having gone through all this, what are your reflections now? Does the source lean one way or the other?
I think the source, much like the novel itself, suggests it's not really an either situation. It's more about the balance, isn't it? The interplay between the two.
Yeah, that feels right. And the source gives us some questions to ponder on this ourselves. It asks, are you more like Quixote or Sancho, dreamer or realist?
That's a great question for self-reflection. Where do you naturally fall?
And it pushes further. Can dreaming big actually be dangerous? It makes you question that simple follow your dreams mantra.
And then it brings it back to you, the listener. It asks, what's a dream you have? And maybe, more importantly, how could you make it real? What practical steps could you take?
It's about bridging that gap, vision and action.
There's even a fun little bonus challenge. Try putting the sentence, I want to dream like Don Quixote but plan like Sancho Panza, into your own words.
I like that, synthesizing the two.
And the main challenge for the week is pretty creative. Write a short story, just 4 or 5 sentences, about someone real or fictional who followed a dream.
They give a nice example, too. A girl wanted to help her village. Everyone laughed, but she studied hard and became a doctor. Now she helps hundreds every day.
It's a great example of blending that dream with the practical work needed to achieve it. We'd love for you to share your stories if you take up the challenge.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, thanks for joining us on this journey through Don Quixote's world.
Yeah, thanks for exploring these ideas with us. You've gotten a taste of a classic, practiced some English, and hopefully thought about some big themes: dreams, reality, justice.
We hope it sparks some ongoing reflection for you about how you navigate your own dreams and the world around you.
And we'll leave you with this final thought, drawn from the spirit of the source material. Dream big, speak clearly, Act wisely.
Until next time.